Have you ever wondered why you feel less confident moving as you get older? Many people gradually change the way they move because of pain, stiffness, injury, or a fear of falling. At first, these adjustments seem small, but over time they can become habits. As these movements compensations build up, the brain may begin to see certain movements as something to be cautious about, making us feel less confident and more protective in how we move. Hi, I'm Naomi Pendergast. I'm a movement specialist. I help people feel confident and capable in their bodies so that they can keep moving well as they age and continue doing the things they love. Rebuilding movement confidence isn't about pushing through pain or avoiding exercises. It's about showing your brain that movement can be safe, controlled, and successful by gradually improving balance, coordination, strength, and body awareness. You can rebuild trust in your body one movement at a time. Follow me through this routine and start reconnecting with your movement so you can enjoy life with greater freedom and confidence. Okay, let's get started. So part of feeling confident when we move is for our body to feel safe. So we want to start all our movements with no weight, and we want to make the movement as simple as possible, and we want to be able to connect with the body. Now, if we can do that, the brain, it perceives success and it says, oh, this actually isn't too hard. I can do this. Then we start to challenge it and we say, okay, let's add a little bit of load. Let's add a little bit of range. Let's add a bit of speed. So these are all the things that we do to layer. So we layer our movement, and that's how we get from this level to this level. So today we're just going to be doing the basic movement and we're going to add a little bit of load. So to start, we're going to start in a lunge position, not like this all the way down here, just a simple step back lunge where we take the left leg backwards. So I'm facing you so you can see what I want you to try and connect with. The front foot is flat on the ground. You'll notice that my back foot is stepped out slightly, so it's not right behind me. Because you'll notice that if I have it behind me, that it's like being on a tightrope and I have to try to balance. And so my hips can get out of position very easily, which stops me working this leg properly. I feel unstable, and straight away my brain thinks, this is scary. So let's step the foot out and find a position where we feel a little bit more balanced. We want to center the pelvis. So I want you to notice if the hip is shifting out to the same side as the leg that's loaded. Then I want you to press your pelvis back into the center and allow your torso to lean slightly over your front leg, just a little bit. So if you're side on like this, you'll notice I have a nice long spine here. I'm not kind of hunched over. So you're going to hold that position. And all I want you to do is feel into the leg and think, okay, where's it working? Like, what am I working right now? I can feel a little bit of this working, but I can feel my glute, I can feel under my leg working. Now, if you can't feel that, there's going to be a few different things that you're doing. You're either shifting your hip out too far, or you're putting too much weight in the toe of your front foot. So try to center the foot more or have a little bit more weight through the heel. Keep that torso forward. You also might be a little bit too low. So lift yourself up enough that you can start to connect with the muscles of that front leg. Once you have that, you hold and you just really connect, let it burn. Let your brain really feel it. But you want to feel supported and then bring it up. Now, let's do the other side before we load it. So we're going to go back. We're going to find the same position. Hold and balance. Good. Shift the hips into the right position. Shift that body forward. So we're using a very, very shallow movement. We're using a no load, only our own body weight. And we're positioning ourselves to be in the most supported, balanced position. Now, all of these things combined together, they create a safe space for us to relearn how to connect with the right areas. So if you're someone that feels that when you lunged or you've done squats, that you've hurt your back, your knee or your hip, then your brain already perceives that this kind of movement is going to hurt you. So you want to peel it right back and peel it back to the point of going, no, let's relearn this and let's learn it in a way that it's not going to cause us, pain in those areas. So I'm holding here. Took me a little bit longer on this side to sort of start connecting with the right areas, which means I probably have a bit of a compensatory pattern through this leg that I probably tend to use maybe inefficient movement on this side a little bit, which kind of like pans out because I do get a bit of a tight TFL on this side. So I'm just going to hold that there. Now I'm starting to really feel it. I want it to really I'm going to breathe through it. Feel those muscles connect. Yep, okay, I know exactly where they are now. And then bring it up. Now, I want you to grab a weight. Don't go too heavy. Let's just grab something that's not extremely heavy. And we're going to hold it up in a goblet hold. So, what I want you to do here is you're holding it just up in front of you. And we're going to go back to that first side. So, whenever we create more of a challenge for the body, the first thing it's going to do is go back into old habits. So we're going to go back into our first position, make sure it's shallow with added load now. So you might find that you straight away want to go like this because the body's trying to compensate. So we're going to shift our weight across. Think about all the things that we just did without load. I can already feel it's turned on for me. This is working. I'm just going to hold that static load right here. I'm trying to keep my foot planted, keep as much of the effort as I can in my leg. So I don't really want to feel anything in my knee or anything like that. You shouldn't feel like your joint is taken, your knee's a hinge joint. So you want to find that position where you're not taking any load for anywhere but that leg. And then bring it up. Let's try the other side. And step it out a bit. I can notice already I wanted to shift that way. I find my position and hold. Good. The other thing you want to be a little bit of aware of on this with the pelvis here is not only just shifting out to the side, but also knowing whether or not your pelvis is too far tipped forward. So you'll notice here if I do it side on, if my pelvis is tipped into my thigh, you'll see that I kind of use my hamstring, but I tend to kind of grab up in my back because my pelvis is out of alignment. So you have to tilt slightly to connect underneath here. So there's a little bit of a gap, a space between your hip bone and your thigh. So you hold that position. Good. And then you bring it all the way up. So just that simple movement, I can already feel things are turning on. And the more you repeat those positive patterns where the brain is getting positive identity of movement without pain, then you're going to be able to feel more confident, and then you will feel like you're able to try movements that maybe before was something that frightened you or, gave you pain. So there's too much defense in the body when you try it. So let's come down now, and we're going to do the same thing with our shoulders here for upper body work. So what we're going to do to start is we're just going to be in a 4-point position. I've just got my hands on the dumbbells here. So just going to press out of the dumbbells, connect the shoulders like this. Now, without any weight, I'm not going to do any weight here. All I'm going to do is raise my right hand to my rib cage like I'm doing a row. Now, what I want you to notice here is as you lifted that arm, so if I face you, were you able to lift this arm up without sinking into the supporting shoulder here, or shifting the body away from the side that's lifting? So we want to be able to stay really centered here. So We push out of that supporting shoulder, and we're going to lift this arm up. Now, the reason that this is important is because as soon as we shift or we sink here, it's going to change how my shoulder blade sits on my rib cage, which then changes how all of the muscles in your body recruit. And when one little compensatory pattern happens like that, we take it straight into the shoulder joint itself. So that's when, you know, shoulder, neck, things like that play out. So with the upper body stuff, make sure that you've got light weights there because it can be quite challenging. So we're going to pull that right arm up into a row, holding the torso in position, pressing out of this shoulder. I'm going to tuck this elbow back. Now, what you want to make sure is the shoulder, the arm that's lifting, that the shoulder is not rolling forward and rounding. So we're trying to open that shoulder and connect the muscles of the back because the row is a back exercise. And bring it down. Now see if you can do the same thing with the other side. So again, on this side, I can notice that I really want to just sink. That's my pattern. See how I'm going off to one side? So they're going to push out of that right hand, tuck that elbow in, and hold this position, trying to really connect the shoulder, and then bring it back down. Now, let's try it with the weight. So make sure you haven't gone too heavy. From here, we're going to pull it up. Open that shoulder, bringing it into the rib. That's it, nice. Yeah, and bring it down. Whoa. And other side. Now, the other thing I want you to notice here, guys, and the reason I say it is because I just did it myself, is as you pull with the arm, make sure that your shoulders are connected. So as I pull, I should feel like the back of my shoulder is connecting before I bend the arm. If you pull like this, can you see how my shoulders rolled forward? And it actually becomes an internal rotator exercise, and I'm using the front of my shoulder, which is the opposite of what you're trying to work. So you want to connect your back and then pull it up to the rib and then slowly back down again. And the same thing, we go up to the rib and back down again. And again, up to the rib cage. Good. And back down. One more to each side. Shoulders opening. You should feel your back working here. And down. The way down, so as I pull, my back's engaged. As I lower the arm down, I'm trying to keep my back engaged. So I'm not just letting it kind of fall to the floor. So that connection in the back is working in both directions. Now the last one I'm going to show you is the squat, because it's something obviously all of us do a lot, and a lot of people don't feel confident in a squat. So with the squat, we're going to start with a really basic pattern similar to when we did the lunge. So if I do this side on, with a squat, we always want to find that hip hinge. Now, a lot of people will get the hip hinge, but then they keep hinging like this. Now, what happens here, if I'm in a hinged position and I'm loaded, so I'm picking up weight and I stand up, I take it into my back. And that's how a lot of people end up with back issues. So it's because they're lifting load and leveraging from that hinged position. But actually what we want is we want to hinge at the hip, but maintain the length in our spine. So as we go down, the pelvis adjusts itself so the spine can keep stacking on top of the pelvis, and then we can come back up again that way. So that the spine is adjusting slightly, but because it's still in alignment over the pelvis, as we push up, the load is going straight up, so that the legs, the glutes, the quads, the core, and the back are all working together to stand up instead of it just being sort of leveraged from one area in the back, which tends to happen. So let's start with the feet apart, a little wider than the shoulders, hands on the hips. The first part of the movement is going to be the hinge. So you're just going to go hinge, and up. So notice how small it is. Hands on the hip bones and hinge, yep, and up. So there's barely any knee bend, but I'm not locked out, so I'm just off lock. So you're going to hinge like this. Now, keep going a little bit further and stop there. Now, try to feel what's happening in your hip bones here. Are they pointing towards your thighs? Or do you have a little bit of a gap where the bone of the hip is pointing forward? That's what you want. So you want to tilt enough that the bone of your hip is pointing straight in front of you. Now, as I do that, I can lift my chest up a bit. If my hip is forward like this, I get stuck and I can't actually lift my chest. So you're going to tilt and you're going to lift your chest. Now, I want you to go a little bit further. Tilt and lift your chest. Now, you might find this is as far as you can go because you feel like you're about to fall over. And that's not because mechanically you can't go further. It's because the muscles that require to be switched on and supporting you aren't strong enough in that sort of range. So they let go, and then that's what makes you feel like you want to fall. So don't worry. We're just working the range that you're able to maintain your technique. Yeah, and you hold, you lift your chest, you tilt, and then you come up. Now, you may find that if you do have really, really tight calves, you may need to have a little bit of a perch with your heels there, just to be able to get that little bit of range down a bit further. Because if the calves are the restriction, then it doesn't matter how much we sort of tilt and stuff, the body will still be restricted. So start with the heels lifted if you have really tight calves, and then you can start to take away the wedges as you're able to get into those deeper positions. So taking it down, a little bit of a tilt. Now I want you to hold this position, making sure the knees have not come too far forward, because then that makes it a knee and a quadriceps movement. So you're going to shift them back slightly and tilt. Now if I hold this position here, I can feel here, I can feel here subtly, and I can feel my lower abs. And that's what you want in a squat. You want to feel all of those areas. They should all be working. Then as we add load, you're going to feel even more, and you're going to feel the whole torso connect. And then bring it up. So let's grab our weight and see if we can hold that load. Shoulders are connected. Hinge at the hip. Then we're going to tilt a little bit. Keep the torso up. Tilt a little bit. Coming down. Tilt enough, lift the torso. So you'll notice that even though I'm tilting my pelvis very, very slightly, I'm not rounded like this. I'm actually just stacked. So I'm basically trying to keep my pelvis in this position, but as I'm bending my knees and going down. So as I'm going down and I'm bending like this, the pelvis naturally wants to go forward. And all I'm doing is saying, no, stay in that nice neutral position so you can get as low as you can, and then driving back up again. So work within the range that you can do it and feel the muscle working. Work nice and slowly. Slow is better, and then you can build up speed as you master the movement. But save this kind of good quality stuff for the first few rounds of your reps, and then you can start to speed it up a little bit. Or add load. But remember, good quality definitely outweighs, weight and, poor movement, because you want to be able to maintain healthy joints. And if you put too much load and poor movement patterns through your joints, eventually they will tell you through injury or pain. So work within, within those limitations and build up your strength that way. If you've got any questions, then please shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, if you like the video, please subscribe.